Hey, what it do? UFC Noche's in the bags. I gotta go through the card to give my reaction to overall how the card played out, expectations, how they were met, things I was surprised with, things I was disappointed with. Overall, I was really happy with my fight night. Kicking it with my bro. We get together for the big fights. Had Canelo on the mantle, further up on the wall. I had Noche. I said in my breakdown video, we don't have the ranked fighters, but that doesn't mean necessarily we're not going to get a big show out. And ironically enough, the fighters with the least amount of rankings showed up for the most part. They brought on interesting fights. They hunted for great finishes. They were the ones who really wanted to make this card about them. And it's sad to see not all of them walk away with the bonus that was deserved. I'm going to call out the fight with Charez and Joshua Van. Well deserving of a bonus of some sort. I know everyone's going to call that one out. I mean, it was such a back and forth fight. Many times you're like, why in the fuck aren't they stopping this? And you bet your ass Dana's sitting there telling Herb and everybody in the team huddle like, hey boys, I got a lot of money into this shit. I'm trying to get me some good content, so don't be stopping those fights early. In fact, don't stop them at all. Fight until they're dead. We're going to have this shit wrapped around them. Now, I thought the themes were all right. I'm not going to say they were shit. I like the temples. We're going through, kind of gave me some Temple Run vibes, old Nickelodeon days. And, you know, I'm sitting there thinking we're going to shoot down this river, go through the temples, and have some sweet-ass fights. And then Sugar and Marab might be under the ocean in Atlantis fighting in some kind of Coliseum. And then there was just this whole dynamic shift. And it's like, all right, Sugar's a gamer. He likes Fortnite. We're going to drop him in the city. And yeah, he's like a fucking hacker. We're going to make him all decked out and like put a nerve gear on the dude next time and like a little fucking... I like how they gave the same theme to Marab. Like, there's a volcano or a mountain behind you, bro. Just have Marab just kind of blasting out of that shit, rolling down like a little golem down the hill, popping up. Yeah! You know, just have fucking Marab be Marab. Oh, I wanted to point out the Octagon Girl thing was pretty cool. 8 new associates show up to the UFC. Dana White sitting there on his black leather couch says, hey, you guys want to be a star? You want to be in a movie? They showed up. They looked great. It was a cool opportunity for them. Like how John Anik was like, they didn't do this in my middle school. That had me laughing because, yeah, it was very artsy. It was very beautiful, festive. If you were there, the seats were rumbling. It was like a interactive Universal ride. Like they threw the Easter egg thing out there too. It was very aesthetically pleasing from home. I can imagine if you were there, the holograms and just some of the extra fan little doodads would have been cool. They didn't have that at 300, but does this make it better than 300 or the greatest cards of all time because the money value says so? Absolutely not. But it was a great card in UFC history, and I enjoyed it. Kicking off the card, we had Raul Rosas Jr. versus Richie Lang. He got the job done, but man, I'm not going to lie. I was worried. There's a lot of times when Rosas wasn't trying to grapple, and I'm just thinking, man, this could be it. This could be it. Because every shot from Richie Lang had intention. Rosas was surviving, often on the back foot, coming in, hitting a leg kick, just trying to stay out of harm's way. His hands weren't really threatening in any way, but every time he grappled, he had success, and that ultimately won him the fight. You know, his style's that typical wet blanket, and over time, could I see Rosas Jr. becoming a champion? Absolutely, by mid-20s even. But eventually you could see him move on, up a weight class, maybe a champion of that division. We have a potential, if not double champion, a 2-time division champion in Rosas Jr. But the things that will not allow him to get to that dance is if he loses that chin. His striking didn't get him to the UFC. It was his grappling, that wet blanket. So I'd like to see him be a little bit more protective. When he's hitting that leg kick, he leaves himself vulnerable in some ways that I didn't quite like. And, you know, Richie Lang didn't hit it, but another sniper might. And if you don't believe me, ask guys like Drew Dober. So without, you know, getting on the guy too much, he's young. He probably had all the nerves in the world. I'm happy he didn't call this one off on the toilet of all fucking nights. The kid showed up, got the job done. I had Rosas Jr. by submission or decision, so we ride. Next on the card, we had Edgar Charez versus Joshua Van. Easily one of my favorite fights, not just of Noche, but like, yeah, flyweight history, easy. You know, Joshua, he's at a disadvantage against a lot of these guys, especially Edgar. Edgar, very long and lengthy in stature, used it perfectly at range, chopped away on Josh's leg. He didn't give a shit, and he took an ultimate beating in that first round. And again, there were a lot of back and forths where you're just like, oh, this is going to get stopped. Josh was smart and started working to the body. You know, he's not huge in size, but he's got incredible power and some of these short combinations as he's working to the body and ripping back to the head. You know, Josh, I think the strategy, as we saw with Energy, wear him out. As small as he is, surprisingly, his cardio is not that great. So wear out Josh and, you know, use your range. Don't get into those close, dirty fights because that's where Josh cracks off. And he's got a hell of a chin, too. That being said, props to Edgar. He showed up and was fighting at a level I didn't quite expect, just because I still have it in my mind that Josh is going to climb the ranks further. But, man, hats off. Yeah, we had Van by decision or knockout. We sprinkled a little on Edgar just in case he got the finish. Next on the card, we had Yasmin versus Souza. Souza kept it clean, 60% accuracy, worked away, first round submission, put Yasmin out. I thought the fight would go on to a second round. Yasmin finding opportunities within her striking to close the distance on her side. But, hey, props to Ketlin. My prop for 2.5 under hit. Nice odds on that, too. I think I hit it like 280, so nice there. For Yasmin, she's not the only one coming back from the office saying, you know, I got to work on some grappling. She'll get more wins in the division. It's an area that if she can improve, she'll do quite well. Otherwise, it's an easy game plan. Next on the card, we had Ignacio versus Torres. I knew this fight would not go to the judges, and that's exactly what happened. Again, they wanted them dead to rights. We saw Manuel get folded like a goddamn lawn chair twice in the fight, and no, it didn't get stopped immediately. We've seen refs come in with that kind of body language and immediately call that shit off. There's no need. When you go limp like that, lifeless, you're out. And so Ignacio using that range, he's got great kicks, but it will be a disadvantage to him if he's not timing his kicks. Bro said it perfectly. He needs to quit throwing that fucking kick on his back leg and to have those hands peeling and slipping and using his range effectively like a piston. And that's what he was hitting these money shots with. It was with the hands. He had great kicks on the feet. And don't get me wrong, Torres did not like that. I think the game plan against Ignacio was obvious. Get close, get in range. The issue is you're going to take some shots along the ways, especially if you're reckless. Don't open up. Keep that guard tight. Close distance first. Get close. Work to the body. And most importantly, get Ignacio off his feet, because as long as he's standing, dude can knock out anybody in that division with that kind of range and power. Distance hits here as well. We move on. Next on the card, we had Irene Aldana versus Norma Dumont. I'd love to show the picture, but I'd get demonetized ASAP. Irene had a huge cut going across the face, got cut early, kept getting opened up more, bleeding all over the place. Dana was getting everything he was hoping to in this film. Norma just kept circling away, keeping the same trajectory around the outside of the octagon, and Irene followed, eating all these shots along the way. I was really surprised, not only that she wouldn't really change things up, but also that she was getting outclassed so bad on the feet, where she's most successful. Dumont's got a lot of wins by decision. Irene has a decent amount of finishes herself with her striking. It just wasn't her night. Very hard to see. I like Irene and the team that she represents, but this was another big loss for Mexico. Going into the third round, I'm rubbing my hands together like, yeah, if distance is under 2.5, I'm cashing. We didn't, though. Moving on to the main card, we had Ronaldo Rodriguez, the biggest fucking mouth in the game, in the world actually, versus Ode Osborne. The fight was very back and forth. I had Ode early in the fight. Things started to change. Rodriguez thought he'd have more success with his grappling. Thought it would be under 2.5 as he'd hit a submission or potentially a knockout, given what was going on outside of the fight beforehand. Thought the emotions would get high and it would get the better of somebody. I did not think this fight would go to the distance, despite being flyweight. Again, like my heavyweights within the distance, and that starts to change as we trickle down. Certain flyweights really changed that for me. Obviously, this card isn't the best example of that. But when you get someone on that killer instinct level like Tatsuro Taira, Steve Ercik, Moreno, Kai, historically Figgy. Oh yeah, these flyweights absolutely put each other out. Again, Neither of these guys I'm talking about in this fight are to that level, to that status. But Ronaldo is young at 25 again, and I do think that he's got a decent shot at seeing what we can do in the top 10 down the road. So excited to see him. He's a very entertaining guy. Look forward to having him at all the press conferences, as much as Dana has no idea what he's saying. Going back to the fight, I think Ode looked really good. The submission attempts, the knockdowns, I could have seen it be a draw or go for Ode Osborne. So really a bit of a toss-up. Next on the card, we had Daniel Zellhuber versus Esteban Ribovic. I thought the fight, again, another close fight, back and forths. Was actually thinking that Zellhuber was going to get the fight stopped the way it did against Potan and Izzy. Not that Izzy wasn't about to get knocked out or wasn't rattled, but, he's sitting there doing the rope-a-dope across the edge of the octagon, and out of all times that should have been stopped early in the card, I'm sitting there laughing to myself like they're going to fucking stop the fight. So, fair play. So Esteban takes this one. Was surprised it wasn't within the distance. I did have something sprinkled on that specifically. And, yeah, both guys get a bonus. Honestly, again, I think the bonus should have went to the second fight of the night with Edgar Shrez and Joshua Van. But hey, I get it. The commentators, the crowd, everyone seemed to really like Zellhuber. Yo, next on the card, we got my little bro, Diego Lopez versus Brian T. City Ortega. What an amazing matchup. And I was very happy to see Diego get the win and welcome to the top 3. I was just happy with top 5, but yeah, like that people immediately are online comparing the damage done to Ortega for Max and Volk versus Diego and MMA Guru. Hey, Diego's my new favorite fighter. Bro, he's been my new favorite fighter for the past 2 years. I mean, I've been rocking his little crazy motherfucking, you know what I mean? Like, sorry, bro, you're late to the game. But yeah, this guy's a future champ. Guy's always striking with ill intentions, throwing everything, opening up this ground game, lethal elbows, lethal ground and pound, and opening up his jiu-jitsu. Everyone but, of course, T-City. He respects the threat coming back this way and some of those nasty areas he could get in. He avoided a really early arm triangle just as nope. He wanted the fight to be where he was best at for sure, and that's on the feet. And I'm happy he wasn't trying to risk. Overall, very happy with Diego's performance. It's one of the first times that he's went the distance and either didn't have a short camp or get fucked over on the scales. So very happy to see him compose and get the job done. I think his next fight's pretty clear. It's either going for a title shot or you throw the man Volkanovski. And it's going to break my heart watching that fight, but I'm going to fucking love every minute of it. Both guys have big wins and gains from this fight. Diego's got a lot of steam behind him, and Volk, he simply needs to steal a lot of that thunder to be part of that conversation right now with Ilya again. But if Max wins the fight, you can bet your ass he's going to call out Volk because he's technically 0-3, and he knows in his mind he's not, and he wants some bench. Moving on to the co-main, we got Alexa Grasso fighting Valentin Shevchenko for the trilogy. Alexa being up on the scorecards, but in their fights, not so much. Alexa took the first fight, 4th round, by jumping a rear naked choke when Valentin exposed her back. And then the second time out, Valentin should have won that fight, tying up the rivalry. Now, Grasso, I respect what she has on the feet against Shevchenko, but it was an obvious game plan that she was going to play it safe. Just like I said in my prediction video, Shevchenko was going to take her to the ground, work from side control and not really work to advance these positions, win on control time and pepper and strikes and just wear on Grasso. It's not what the fans were hoping to see in terms of an exciting all-out war like a lot of the other fights earlier in the night, but I understand it from a strategy standpoint and so forth, so I'm not really going to harp on it too much. Now, if Grasso would have won that fight, my 3-leg parlay would have hit with Borjalho, Diego, and that was a bonus bet that would have cashed out close to 300. So I was like, Valentin gets her belt, everything fades away. We're in a big air blimp balloon going over a city, and we airdrop because it's Sugar Show time, right? Now, hear me out. This fight's been talked about ever since Aljo lost. Everyone immediately was like, give Aljo the fight. No, Sugar's not giving him. Oh, Aljo's moving on to featherweight. Everyone immediately was talking Merab. Merab's just going to grab him and Henry Cejudo pick him up and slam him down over and over. I've literally fought with people on the internet numerous times in favor of Merab beating Sugar due to the stylistic matchup and the fact that Merab has that cardio that would wear the shit out of Sugar and take away his weapons, taking him off the feet. Why did I go Sugar? Going into this fight, I felt like I was being Ryan Garcia. You had Merab with the huge cut above the eyebrow, getting stitched up, looks fucking terrible. It's so easy to pop that open with someone as lethal as O'Malley, who is not only a great striker, but a great finisher, especially at the weight class. And then, the fact that Merab's been wobbled by far less significant strikers than someone like Sugar. I'm keeping that into consideration. And I see a picture of him in some football jersey with a scalp infection. I'm just like, all right, man. It's Sugar show time, I guess, because there's no way that Merab's going to do this shit. He's got to be on the antibiotic. He can't pull out. Dana's going to kill him. He's forced to fight. And I did not expect to see the Merab that showed up. Now, given the circumstances he was battling going into this fight, he's right up there on that list of cardio kings for me. I mean, he was already the machine before. But, yeah, after this performance going into it the way it was, he's right up there next to Nick and Nate Diaz as far as I'm concerned. And stylistically, throw him, Umar. Throw him, Figgy. I would like to see what someone can do with really good grappling and really good striking. Because Merab just has really good grappling, so I'd like to see him deal with that adversity. And lastly, for Sugar, all I gotta say, bro, is I know I was picking on you a bunch in the videos going into this. Some things that, I'm not super sold on as far as the Sugar show goes, but I will say I respect your fighting. I respect you as a striker especially. It's always fun watching your shit, and I hope you come back stronger and better prepared for both disciplines. And if that means that you got to move on from your team and, not so much plateau, then do so. Rumor has it one of the greatest fighters of all time that would be able to help you in this other discipline just recently retired. And he also happens to be about the same stature and size against guys that you're going to have to deal with fighting at 135 pounds. So maybe go hit up DJ and get good. Again, closing out Noche, the whole card was delivering for the most part up until the co-main and main event. And with these kind of caliber of fighters, you would just expect something a little different. I felt like the energy was really zapped going into this, so we really needed something spectacular. And Sugar, it was weird to see him be such a slow starter. He had a bit of Cheeto dust rub off on him on that last win, you could say. But he started picking things up towards the end, but it was a little too late. Merab, yeah, he might have been hurt to the body. It looked like he was, but unfortunately, too little, too late. And congrats to Merab. Very happy, like I said in my heart, going into this fight. I'd be happy to get my prediction wrong. Be happy to see he's champion. You sure as hell did it. If you haven't seen already in my channel, I have me and Merab pinned. Going into 300, I was asking, what's that 10 pounds extra on Aljo looking like going into the fight? Obviously, for Merab training with Aljo, look what that does for him. It gives him an opponent that was already one of the best bantamweights of all time, but now transitioning him to featherweight. Are they going to just stop sparring? Hell no. Merab, if anything, has a greater sparring opponent in Aljo with that extra size, that extra energy. And so, yeah, very happy to see what Merab does at this division. Seems to be wanting to be very active, company man, yes, man to most fights. And that relationship with him and Dana, it's going to be interesting to see how it continues to play out. Yeah, let's just see what happens. But that's going to be my Noche wrap up for now. We'll see how this video compiles. It likely won't all go to Instagram in one clean shot. So if you get a chance, check this on YouTube. And if you're here, give me a like, give me a comment below, something you liked or didn't like about the video. I really appreciate it as we try to get these things going. And focused on the move right now. I'm going to be working really hard to get to you my France predictions up as soon as I can. I got work here very soon, so that will unfortunately be later in the day, but nonetheless, it's something I'm thinking about, and we'll try to do my best to give you some opinions going into that card. I'm honestly looking forward to the fight with Brian Battle and Kevin Nemos next to Moicano and Benoit Saint-Denis. I think it might be a little soon for Saint Denis. That knockout was pretty brutal, and he's had some time in between, but Moicano has that surprising power that can really light someone up, and he's extremely dangerous in his grappling as well. I don't see it ending by submission by either men. I see it ending with their hands, respecting what each guy can do if they were to throw their necks out there. So I'm expecting a knockout within 3.